the death of texting and what to do about it. This is Todd Toback, and welcome to the No Limits Real Estate Investing Podcast. Whether you are scratching and clawing your way to your first real estate deal, or if you're trying to build a business that spits off 7 figures a year without your day-to-day involvement, this is your place. I have a gift for you. Head on over to nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script. And there you could download the very same script that we use in our business to lock up monster wholesale deals every single day. So you've got to head over to the website, nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script, and download this thing today. So that being said, let's listen to today's question and jump right into it.
Hi, Todd, and this is Sean. I'm in Texas, but I'm working out of a virtual market in Missouri. I had a question about, I'm doing some text marketing right now and some cold calling, but I heard that starting next month that texting may not be something that we can do as much.
So Sean, great question. There is a lot of buzz going on right now about texting and what's going to happen. And is it legal or not legal, or if the carriers are cracking down? So, the one thing I'm going to tell you, Sean, is thank you for asking this. My advice to you is, number one, is ignore the noise. Ignore the noise. And what do I mean by that? What I mean as a prudent business owner, investor, hustler, deal doer, whatever you want to call yourself, it's important that you pay attention to trends, right? You want to see what's coming down the pike. But I don't like to listen to everybody else. I've always considered myself a renegade. And renegades, where the herd is doing this, you kind of go the other way. And renegades, they kind of are in the 1%, meaning that they are in the top 1% of their profession. Because if they weren't doing what everybody else was doing, if they weren't following the herd, if they were following the herd, they'd be pretty much making the same amount of money. So I appreciate your question. I'm glad that you've come here, the source, the best place to find out how to do big wholesale deals and the way to do it. But I want you to calm your mind. If you're texting and you're worried about this platform going away, maybe it is. I'm going to talk about this in a second, but just keep doing your thing day after day, generating leads, talking to sellers, add a new marketing channel here, right? Taking away this one if it's not working, add a new marketing channel there, taking away that one if it's not working. Quarter after quarter, we are getting better and better and better. So I don't really worry about this stuff. I just do my thing, right? I chop the axe and make it happen. Every single day, I'm going to knock down some trees, okay? That's from my good friend Darren Collins out of North Carolina. So let's talk about texting and is it going away, right? A lot of people say, it's becoming illegal or the carriers are cracking down. Well, let me tell you, it is true. The carriers are cracking down. What does that actually mean? Well, it means that it's getting harder and harder to send text messages out to a bunch of people that you don't know from a list that you have pulled, right? Where you have skip trace. And if you know what skip tracing is, that means where you get the owner's information and you get their phone numbers, email addresses, and other information. And then you upload them to a texting platform and then manually text them to see if they're interested in selling their property. So what's happened is this is a very cheap form of marketing. And so a lot of wholesalers have flooded the market because it's so easy and locked up deals doing so. But that being said, the law is kind of caught on and they said, hey, we don't want people doing this anymore. And so now the carriers are under some restrictions, which now is making it harder. So what does that mean? Well, it means that number one is that the carriers are blocking people who are abusing the system, like Verizon, AT&T. And so on their end, when you're sending messages, a lot of those aren't going through. So there's the technical side of it where the people who you're sending them to don't allow it. Then there's also the vendor that you're dealing with. Are you dealing with a good vendor that's going to allow you to do it? And then there's legality of this. So I'm going to speak on number one, legality. So number one, it's important that you do not listen to other wholesalers on this. It's important that you don't listen to me on this. It depends on what state you're in. So I would talk to a local attorney in your area. They're called TCPA attorneys, right? Or you could ask your regular attorneys, but these guys specialize in this kind of communication. So you want to make sure that what you're doing is legal. Now, For me, make sure that you tell them exactly what you're doing and they're an expert. So for me, the one thing about a lot of these texting platforms is that you are manually texting people, right? Versus just sending out a one blast mass text. So that's a big difference. So make sure that you tell your attorney that and then get his blessing moving forward. So get that out of the way. The second thing, though, that I'm going to recommend is that you get a really, really, really good provider. So a lot of the providers that we use, and I'm talking about the platform, the vendor that you use to pay, where you upload your lists, okay? A lot of these people have not kept up with the technology because of the changes, and they think that this kind of platform is going away. So they're changing their business model. So you want to stick with the ones that are migrating and changing with the times. So by the way, for us, this is going to be changing all the time, right? So what we're going to do is at any one time, I'm not going to mention on this podcast, I'm going to have the one that I'm going to share with you on our website. If you go to nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/texting, nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/texting. And that's there. It's going to take you to the provider that we use. Okay. And if you do that, they will actually give you the best pricing possible. Okay. Last time I checked, they actually gave you a free trial. So go to nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/texting. What's important about these platforms is that they allow you to offer different versions of the same text, right? It's called text spinning. So you could have, hey, are you interested in selling your house? The next one might be, would you be interested in selling your property? The third one might be, hey, I know this is crazy, but are you interested in a cash offer on 1234 Main Street? So you see it's the same question, but it's a different text, all right? So make sure you're dealing with a provider that allows you to use 10, 12, 14 different templates. And that'll help you on your end do things, okay? The other part about this, though, that you have to be aware of is that the carriers are blocking, right? The carriers are blocking. And so Verizon, AT&T, they don't like this. And so that is getting harder and harder and harder to do. Now, you might say, Todd, are you still texting? So our company, texting up until last year was still one of our most profitable channels, right? We earned about a 6 times our investment in 2021, right? Which is good, right? 6 times our investment. And that includes the labor associated with that. Okay. So it's still working. And right now it's still working. Is it getting harder? Yes, absolutely. So the last thing that I'm going to recommend here is that it is fading. And I always say live in the present while planning for the future. So we're not shutting down our own texting platforms. Number one, we want to make sure that we're compliant. Number two, we want to make sure that we're doing everything right on our end. And number three is we want to make sure that we've got good vendors. So again, you could check out nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/texting to see the vendors that we're using. That being said, I don't think there's any huge rush as long as you talk to your attorney and you are doing that the right way to get rid of this marketing channel. Because right now we just locked up, besides what we did in 2021, we just locked up a $40,000 deal from texting last week. So it's still working. But that being said, you don't want to stop doing what's working, but you want to take a look on the horizon and say, you know what? This is probably not going to be here in 2 years, right? So you don't want to hope, you don't want to pray. What am I going to do to replace it? So find a new marketing channel. Is it cold calling? Is it mailing? Is it pay-per-click advertising? Is it working with real estate agent? Is it working with influencers in my town? Is it door knocking? I don't care what it is, but you got to add something that's going to work in your market. You want to stay on top of it. You don't want to all of a sudden be in a spot where all of a sudden the texting platform says, oh, we're out of business. This is over. Sorry. And this is your 100% sole source of leads, right? On the other hand, you don't want to just get rid of your marketing efforts today. So keep doing what you're doing, but then have an eye for the future. Man, that's so, so important. That's another hard lesson that I've learned over the years. So just to summarize, number one, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of noise around texting. Block out the noise, okay? Don't listen to what your competition is saying. They run around like the chicken with their head cut off. They're like the other 9%. Because you listen to the podcast, you're 1%. It is important to note the carriers are cracking down, so it is getting harder Just know that I still get a return on my text messaging. We are having to work harder to do that and do some things and write different text messages, and then also switch providers. We've had to do that. Make sure you talk to an attorney. That's really important locally where you're at. Don't ask your Facebook friends legal advice. That's the stupidest thing ever. You check out our provider at nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/texting to find out the provider that we use. And again, this may change. So that's why I just gave you that link. And then just know that this probably is changing, right? You don't have to give up today, but you need to replace a new marketing channel. Find something out there that you know is going to work when this probably, maybe won't be here in a year or two. Live in the present, okay? But plan for the future. If you have not been to our site, go ahead and check out nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com. Download that script today. Do more deals, make some money, fill your bank account, and have some fun in the process.